As the 1952 election approached, both political parties had a special interest in one war hero. Dwight Eisenhower was the commanding officer of the largest amphibious landing ever attempted at Normandy in World War II. But what most people were most appreciative of is that he did it without MacArthur's bombast or Patton's brilliance. He had a reputation earned by his military stripes and by his beloved nature. Because of that, it has been noted that an effort to get him into office was, quote, coordinated by politicians of every stripe. Even liberal New Dealers beseeched him to come home and lead, end quote. He was viewed as being down home, reliant upon homespun tales that provided him a mass appeal. His critics thought that his stories were an indication of Ike being a bumbler. After the fact, it became understood that he was using his supposed bumbling to mask what he intended to do. Eisenhower opted to run for the Republican nomination in 1952. He was contested by Robert Taft, who many viewed as too much of an isolationist for that era. Remember, the Republicans had been trying to emphasize that Democrats had not done enough to prevent much of Asia from falling to the communists, so they needed to provide a seemingly united front. The United States was struggling through the Korean War, and the hope was that Eisenhower could unite. Eisenhower's military success would also provide a strong figure to help the national sense of insecurity against what was viewed as a growing communist threat. Eisenhower ran on a platform that was abbreviated to K1C2, or Korea, Communism, and Corruption. He promised to be liberal with humanity and conservative with spending. If that meant that he needed to figure out how to do something like build schools without spending money, he'd figure it out. He believed that embracing capitalism would deter communism. He urged a liberal trade policy and elimination of tariffs to encourage trade. You could say that it worked and that American exports expanded from $15 billion in 1952 to $30 billion in 1960. He would also use new propaganda techniques like the Voice of America and Radio Free Europe to get messages behind the established Iron Curtain.